Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 2. This week, we're going to continue reading Fish in a Tree. I'd like you to read chapters 7 through 15. Either read them in the book if you've purchased a hard copy of the book, or it is available to you to read or listen to in Canvas under the materials. And then there's some additional videos and resources for you to explore about social and emotional learning, about white privilege, about stress and trauma, and about students with disabilities. So make sure that you go carefully through all of the learning materials for week 2. For our discussion this week, we're really going to be talking about multicultural education and culturally responsive teaching. So you're going to begin with defining those terms. So, and then after you define them, I would like you to talk about how you'd implement any of the strategies that you've identified as part of multicultural education and culturally responsive pedagogy to support students that are diverse culturally, linguistically, and I would also say differing abilities with regard to disability as well. And then make sure that you have 1 or 2 questions to ask your classmates in your responses to them. Be sure to use references and in-text citations to show connections to your learning. That's especially important in your initial response to the prompt. And then this goes for discussions and for any papers you might write. Remember that any reference that you list should have at least 1 in-text citation, and that way I know what information you got from each resource. So for this week, for your assignment, you can choose to either write a paper in APA format, and that should be 2 to 3 pages, so a brief paper with references and citations, or do a presentation. And remember, the presentation must have a narration. You can use Canva or PowerPoint or Prezi or make a video, whatever technology you're most comfortable with, but make sure that you have a narration. And again, make sure that you have both references and in-text citations. If you choose to do something like a video, you can orally say, based on this theory found in this book, has sort of a verbal in-text citation, and then turn in your references as a separate Word doc to go with your presentation. You're going to give some examples of multiple intelligences. So talk a little bit about Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. Give 3 to 5 examples of multiple intelligences, and then reflect on your own multiple intelligences. What are your strengths? What areas could be strengthened? And then think about how that applies to your learning style and give a couple of examples of that. And describe your learning style and how your learning style impacts your success doing college level work. You're also going to be expected to talk a little bit about how learning can be impacted and the brain can be impacted by stress and trauma, and make some connections between the neuroscience research and the impacts of stress on learning and the brain. And then also think a little bit about social and emotional learning. What kind of considerations should there be in the classroom? Think about, again, the application of all of these theories. How does Mr. Daniels work with all of these kinds of intelligences and learning styles? And how does he meet the needs of the students socially and emotionally? Think about any other connections that you've made with the research you've done, the materials I've given you, and the experiences of the characters in Fish in a Tree. And think about what strategies you hope to implement in your own classroom, whether it's a future classroom or a classroom that you're in now. And how would these strategies support the characters in Fish in a Tree? So again, you can choose a paper or a presentation with a voiceover. I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you, and take care.